good afternoon. Welcome to the UBC Lunchtime News, the 6th day of March 2021. My name is Wadulo Arnold. You can also follow me on Twitter as we move along with this bulletin at Wadulo MA. And without further ado, it's now time for the news. Now, President Museveni has promised that government will either revise or drop charges against persons arrested by security agencies during and after the recent elections. Museveni was officiating the 2021 Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue Summit, IPOD, that is, at Kololo Independence Grounds. We'll take a look.
The 2021 Third Ordinary Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue Summit has this Friday convened at Kololo Independence Grounds with President Museveni as the chief guest.
As Executive Secretary of IPOD, Your Excellency and distinguished leaders, I have over the last 3 years had the privilege to witness the possibilities and the potential of dialogue.
Because NRM has been founded on dialogue and interacting with people, this is the foundation on which NRM has been able to keep the country together for over 35 years. Because of this, therefore, we still believe and have hope.
Party presidents from NRM, Democratic Party and Uganda People's Congress honored the high-level IPOD meeting that brings together party leaders with MPs in Parliament. After a 3-hour closed meeting, the IPOD Council chairperson, who also serves as the NRM Secretary General, Justin Kasule Lumumba, addressed the summit and said the current security situation in the country dominated the closed summit.
In the discussion, when we got there, the agenda was amended to have a brief by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the security situation in this country. And he gave a detailed report. It wasn't actually brief. It was a detailed report from his head with names. I want the members of the IPOD Summit to really clap for him and thank him.
The summit also endorsed the multi-stakeholders dialogue on politics.
The IPOD Summit, under the chair of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is also the chairperson of NRM, they have agreed on the principle and adopted the principle to have the multi-stakeholder national dialogue on political issues.
The Democratic Party President, Norbert Mao, who claims to have proposed the dialogue, led the DP delegation to the summit.
We should be focusing on resurrecting businesses that are being crippled by Corona, dealing with the challenges that we face as a nation. So we must build as much consensus as possible around the politics so that all our energies are focused on dealing with the problems we face. To those who may want to burn down the bridge, I say all the bridges that you burn may come back to haunt you. Uganda's history is a testimony of that. All those who burnt bridges in the 60s have lived to regret their burning of political bridges.
Uganda People's Congress Party was represented by its president, Jimmy Akena.
And therefore, every effort which allows us to come together to meet the challenges and to discuss for common destiny of Uganda, as UPC, we shall always be on board.
The summit chairman, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, rounded up the summit addresses.
We have no problem at all engaging in dialogue with anybody in Uganda about our diagnosis and prescription. We are always ready to explain and also listen to the explanation of others.
Museveni recalled that it is through failure to appreciate such engagements that the past governments fell apart.
We tried in the UNLF, people thought they could get their own way. This is always, I don't know, it is like a dogo, like a witchcraft. What my daughter Kasule Lumumba said, I always say, please, if God has given you power to speak and to hear, use it, please. Because you can go to hospital, you find somebody looking at you, he wants to talk, but he can't talk because he was hit by a stroke. So here you are, Yoweri Museveni, like I am now. I am able to talk and to see and to hear, and I don't use those gifts because I'm too proud, I'm too what?
The president reassured Ugandans that an amicable solution will be forged to address the current outcry and fate of the purported missing persons.
I have agreed with the presidents of the parties that apart from the 51 who will be released unconditionally and also to settle, because they have helped us to know more about the scheme of these miscalculators. There are others who are arrested and even taken to court martial, this one here and there. I will ask the DPP to review each case and recommend soft landing for many of them, because many of them are really misled.
The summit was initially supposed to be attended by 5 political party presidents, and thus from the NRM, DP, UPC, FDC and JEMA, but only NRM, UPC and Democratic Party fully participated. Robert Onyango reporting for UBC News.
In other news, the Ministry of Health received 864,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccines against COVID-19 shipped via a COVAX facility. The doses were received by the Health Minister, Dr. Jane Cheng, who was accompanied by the World Health Organization country representative, members of the diplomatic corps, and officials from the Ministry of Health. These are the details.
Uganda's AstraZeneca vaccines manufactured by Serum Institute, India, have been received at Entebbe International Airport. The vaccines against COVID-19 were flown in aboard the Fly Emirates Boeing 777-300 extended range aircraft from India. Health Minister Dr. Jane Cheng, flanked by the World Health Organization country representative, Minister of Health officials, and members of the diplomatic corps were in place to officially receive the vaccines. The COVAX facility has allocated 3,552,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine to Uganda.
Although it is only 2% of Uganda's current need that this 864,000 doses we receive today, it is the first step to protect the most at risk and crucial part of our population.
Uganda targets to inoculate 49.6% of the population in a phased manner, and each phase is planned to cover 20% of the population.
Uganda is fully prepared to launch and start utilizing the vaccines starting on the 10th of March 2021. We will use our tested strength of decentralized health services to deliver the vaccines to the target populations in a record time.
The first phase of the free vaccination will target health workers in public and private facilities, security personnel, teachers, persons aged 50 years and above, and those with underlying health conditions. The UNICEF representative in Uganda revealed that the arrival of this batch marks an important milestone for Uganda in the fight against the deadly virus.
With the vaccines arriving today, we do expect that the change is going to happen. The return to a new normal that would allow the economy to flourish again.
Members from the diplomatic corps who are present at this receiving ceremony also promised unrelenting support to ensure equitable access of the vaccines across the region.
The firm belief in this principle that the UK was one of the first to back the COVAX facility, because we want a global solution to this global pandemic. And thanks to a huge international effort from all these people that you see around you, that I'm really pleased to say that the UK and the rest of the world is now starting to move towards the end of this pandemic.
So far, Team Europe has provided more than 2.2 billion euros, or nearly 10 trillion Uganda shillings, in commitments to secure equitable access for all countries to ensure that everyone who needs a vaccine gets it anywhere in the world.
The quick spread of this horrible disease from country to country showed how interconnected we all are. And a strong presence here today from the Ugandan government, and the international community reinforces that a global challenge like COVID-19 requires a global response. That is why we're here today in a spirit of cooperation, working together with Uganda and international partners.
COVAX is a COVID-19 vaccine global access initiative launched by the World Health Organization to ensure vaccine access to the world's most vulnerable.
After close to a year of disruptions ushered in by the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries are now looking at total annihilation of the virus, and the rolling out of vaccines across the world heralds a return to normal. Samuel Senono, UBC News, Entebbe International Airport.
Yes, and Marquee vaccination will begin on the 10th of the same month, starting with the frontline workers like the media and health workers, those that are in the frontline. Now, in other news, the civil society is also opposed to the use of the national identification cards to access vaccines against COVID-19, and they want court to halt the vaccination requirements since preconditioning the enjoyment of basic rights is unlawful. Now, National Identification and Registration Authority statistics indicate that about 6.5 million Ugandans have neither national identification numbers nor national identification cards. And these are the details.
It is not news anymore that COVID-19 is still a challenge, not just to Uganda, but to the world. What is news is that all nations across the world are working tooth and nail to find preventive measures. Uganda is not exceptional, with the vaccine doses already secured for that purpose.
Vaccination will begin on 10th of March 2021, following national launch that will be held on the 8th March 2021, and then subsequent distribution to all districts in Uganda. Uganda targets to vaccinate 49.6% of the population, of which about 21,936 people in a phased manner.
According to a recent cabinet sitting, it was recommended that health workers and teachers, among other persons, received the vaccine first.
All health workers from public, private not-for-profit and private health facilities will be the first group to receive the vaccine. The second group will be the teachers, because it is extremely important that this category is vaccinated as we prepare to reopen for the schools and also the children to begin school. The third group will be persons above 50 years of age.
This emphasis follows cabinet observation of a decline in the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Uganda. To be eligible for vaccination, one will be required to produce a national identification card for Ugandans and a passport for foreigners.
Government health centers, 3, 4, district hospitals, regional referral hospitals, national referral hospitals, and specialized institutions have been designated as vaccination service units in each of the districts or city. All vaccinated persons will receive a vaccination card and will be required to present the card for the second dose.
For now, it is all awareness creation embarked on by the Ministry of Health and district COVID-19 task forces to sensitize the public on the vaccination exercise. Henry Okurut, UBC.
The government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has received anti-desert locust equipment from the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The Minister of Agriculture, Vincent Sempija, received the facilities that include vehicles, motorcycles, and pesticides.
Early last year, the government of Uganda was faced with the battle fighting desert locusts, which had invaded the country through Karamoja region from Kenya. Ministry of Agriculture, together with other agencies and non-government organizations, not excluding the UPDF, had to find a strategy to wipe them out before much impact.
I say it almost cost me trouble, because people believed that there were no NZG, and they learned that we were given a lot of money. They thought that the money was put in our pockets. And during campaigns, they would ask for it. Give us some of the NZG money.
The government now has received sophisticated equipment to prepare for any future locust attack. There is much threat, as locusts are expected to reach Uganda soon due to their prevalence in most parts of Kenya.
Now, this is another alert for Uganda. It means that we are ready to get the invasion coming into Uganda, not via Karamoja necessarily. We can easily get locusts entering Uganda via Mbale, via Sese Islands. Right now, we are having locusts at Nakuru, within Nakuru. And this is now becoming the nearest place to Uganda.
The call for preparedness intends to ensure food security within the vulnerable regions.
Impact assessment has captured information on food security, on social economic indicators, to provide recommendations to further inform the control measure and livelihood support that is being provided by FAO and other stakeholders.
The equipment include, among others, tracking phones, motorcycles, and vehicles. The Agriculture Minister, Vincent Sempija, received the equipment on behalf of the government.
Take us very far in enhancing the country's preparedness towards the desert locust control.
Minister Sempija expressed concern of misinforming the public about the tragedy, which adversely affected him politically.
Work was going on, the auditors were here, and the Auditor General said no money was stolen. We really died for our country, and we died politically for our country. But
the received equipment are to be distributed in locust-prone regions of Karamoja and Teso. Currently, over 17 districts of Kenya are already infested with the desert locusts, which puts Uganda at risk, hence early preparations. Abdul Nasir Luwama, UBC News.
Well, thank you very much, Abdul Nasir Luwama. We shall now take a short break, but when we return, we'll be back with business news, so stay tuned.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we are not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Stay connected to the largest 4G network in Uganda, anytime, anywhere, using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi, available at only 123,000 Uganda shillings. This comes with 15 GB free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 users at a go and still enjoy a shared yet unmatched internet experience. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GB. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network. Airtel is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations, Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Welcome back. It's still the lunchtime news, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue, also on Facebook and YouTube under the name tag UBC TV Uganda. Now, before we get into business, the family of Rebecca Naiga, a journalist with Radio City in Kampala, is asking for help of 150 million Ugandan shillings from the public to help access medical services available in India. John Mary Chirima, a husband to Naiga, says that she developed complications during her pregnancy. And let's take at least details.
My name is John Mary Kiruma. I am the husband of Rebecca Naiga. Rebecca Naiga is suffering from chronic kidney disease. She was diagnosed with this disease when she had just gotten pregnant.
Rebecca Naiga was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease months during pregnancy. This made the doctors to advise her to undergo an operation at 8 months and produce the bouncing baby girl.
During that admission of ICU, doctors said her kidneys were functioning at 7%. So the only alternative is to do a kidney transplant. But being a long process, she was started on hemodialysis. Hemodialysis is a process that does the function of the kidney, but now that is a machine doing the cleanup of the blood. So she started on dialysis through ICU. Then actually in ICU, the interesting stories, doctors had also given up, because they one time called me and told me, expect the worst because the patient is not responding.
She is now being taken care of by engineer John Mary Kirima, her husband, who abandoned his work to look after his wife following the vows they took during matrimony.
Doctors told us the cost of transplant will cost us about 150 million. 150 million to a common man is something unthinkable. Yet there is even this dialysis of weekly. Just so that this is something we cannot afford. So we started the campaign calling people to support us. First of all, to raise this 150 million.
John Mary Kirima says despite support of their families, the cost of her medication is a hassle.
Rebecca has been in and out of hospital since that first admission. She has been admitted 7 times again at Insambia Hospital and 1 time in Lubaga Hospital since the first admission of September. Those other admissions come in when she gets emergencies, she can't breathe, the blood is too low, she has got infections. So just know it has been and it is still a hassle. And the only solution to get out of this is a kidney transplant.
Sudat Kai, UBC.
You are healed in the mighty name of Jesus, Rebecca, if you're watching this. Now, in the world of business, Housing Finance Bank and World Remit have entered a joint venture aimed at enabling funds transfer across the globe. The initiative is geared at enabling customers send and receive money with their families in the diaspora. Now, Michael Mugabe, Managing Director of Housing Finance Bank Uganda, says that the partnership's purpose is to expand financial independence to its customers.
I'm excited to partner with World Meets with the sole objective of launching yet another great solution that is working to revolutionize funds transfer across the globe. Let me say this. We have many Ugandans out there in the diaspora working, but who want to invest back home. And the issue of funds transfer has been a key challenge for many of these Ugandans out there. Some have tended to rely on relatives and they have been cheated. Others have moved to find other alternative means that have been rather expensive. And the cost of sending and remitting these funds is becoming a total big challenge and impediments. So through partnership with World Remit, we've been able to make this easy. We've been able to democratize it so that Ugandans across the globe, and I'm talking across the different countries of the globe, be it in the US, in Europe, in Middle East, in Asia, can now work with us through the partnership with World Remit to be able to remit money back home. Money for investment, money for again, feeding into and filtering into the aspirations that I talked to, the issue of home ownership and financial independence. So we are seeing this happening, and I'm sure that our customers here in Uganda and all over the world will be delighted with the experience of a new strategic partnership with World Remit that World Remit brings on board.
In other news, Phoenix International, a renewable energy solution provider, has changed its corporate brand to NG Energy Access Uganda. Now, this follows successful integration with solar home systems company NG Mobisol and mini grids provider NG Power Corner. Let's take a look.
NG launched its access to energy strategy in 2018. This was in line with the company's ambition of expanding its African footprint and impacting positively on millions of lives on the continent through its unique business model.
Being one of the world's largest utilities has the skill sets, the technology, the investment, and the ability to drive real change in the transition to renewable energy. But then at the same time, there's a paradox, right? We can't bring developed countries onto renewable energy and be a real driving force for climate change, but leave other markets behind, let's say, in terms of access to energy. Right?
The acquisition of Phoenix International by NG Energy Access Uganda is expected to spur the growth of the pay-as-you-go solar and mini-grid solutions in the country. Currently, about 80% of Ugandans still have no access to electricity, and this poses a big challenge in Uganda's socio-economic growth agenda.
Despite all efforts by ministry, by government, even by private sector to electrify Uganda, the population is growing faster than we're electrifying it, and so this problem is growing ahead of us. With NG, with the technology we have and with the investment we have, we can address that, right? And through those different technologies I've highlighted, the solar home systems and the mini grids, we don't need to invest large capital and capex dollars into grid infrastructure. We can get out and we can connect households and bring power through more economical, renewable and clean ways.
Universal electrification is the 7th of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that the global community has committed to achieve by 2030. Dennis Sigoa and Charlotte Amuge for UBC Business.
Kwate simu! For the first time in Uganda, you can pay in installments and own a smartphone instantly. Get to own the Samsung A3 Core, Samsung A01, or Samsung A11 and pay back in either daily, weekly, or monthly installments for a period of a year. To check if you're eligible for the offer, dial *284*49# today. You also enjoy free 500 MB on the purchased phone every month for the entire loan repayment period. Ha! Uganda nyuma! Airtel, the smartphone network, in proud partnership with MasterCard, Samsung, and Asante Financial Services.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
And that brings us to the end of our lunchtime news. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Please do remember you can follow UBC TV on Twitter and on Facebook under the name tags UBC TV Uganda. Let's go there and interact, get updated with what's happening in